evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 65th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Barebones Racing Series. As we have finally put the regular season in the rearview mirror, it's time to go playoff racing. Race number 10 here tonight. Dover Speedway is the venue that we begin this journey towards the Barebones Racing Series Championship, the Monster Mile. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Sean Prime. And Sean, I mentioned last week what a track to end the regular season off at Infineon, but man, what a track to kick these playoffs at. Dover, a track that's so abrasive on the tires, in my opinion, maybe one of the toughest pit roads to get onto. I mean, talk about putting your best foot forward. That's what these championship competitors are going to have to do here tonight.
Oh, they definitely are, Seth, and good evening again, sir. You might as well forget going to Dover. Just call it danger, because
Yeah.
there's danger in every aspect here. There really is, whether it's trying to get on pit road, even under yellow, but forget it under green. I mean, there's so many mistakes. It's like a complete ice skating rink on restarts. It's tight. When there's an incident that happens here, it's never usually a single car incident. They're some of the most epic crashes we have been at this speedway. Cars up into the catch fences, etc. I think I've been one of them. The thing here is it's a challenging series. This is made to be a challenging series, and this is one of the most challenging tracks we go to.
So what about a driver's mentality coming into this one? Because obviously I think we'll be talking a lot about track position here tonight. Dover is a track where you usually have to use a couple of laps to set up a pass, let alone execute it. You get that good starting track position, you're going to be able to more than likely maintain it through the course of the evening. But this is a two-race round before we end up getting down to our round of 8. For drivers coming into this, some of them may be in must-win mentality, but for the most part, is everybody just kind of come in here with the survival instinct, maybe just garner as many points as you possibly can and see where you're positioned when we get to our elimination race next week at the home of the Art of Bricks, Indianapolis?
Well, you sure think so, and you sure hope so, but you know, the racer's mentality, and it's so hard to pass here. Track position is at such a premium, you know, so you have that as one element. Track position is really tight. Then the other element is restarts are as brutal here as any place we go. It's just that simple. The first couple laps, if you get going, are just brutal. So put those two things together. You want to get a spot on the restart, but man, bad things happen when you try to. So it's really going to be interesting to see what we have tonight.
Patience will be key in tonight's race for sure. Coming off the heels, as we mentioned, of that road course race at Sonoma. That's the road course race that we had during the regular season. We still got another one here in the playoffs at Watkins Glen. But Sean, I believe you've got some recap for us for those that didn't tune in to last week's broadcast of what went down in Napa Valley.
Well, they went up and they went down because a lot of elevation changes out there in Northern California. And Brian Schilling put on a clinic, but he was hotly pursued by Grant Wesley, who didn't let him get away the whole darn night. And Jeff Supta, who had trouble, he ended up being the most position gained because he had to start from the back and work his way forward. And Bob Dixon, bringing it home in 10th place, took home the Challenger win. A couple fast facts. Fastest lap of the race, no surprise, was put in by Brian Schilling. Second, Jeff Supta, within 4 1,000ths of a second for the fastest lap of the race. And Jeff was the highest climber, again on a road course gain. Started 15th, finished third, a 12-spot gain on the track. And Colin Flick was our hard luck one. Unfortunately, started third, finished 20th, negative 17. But that about turns the book on left and right, as it looks like they're gridding up the field, and we are getting ready to go round and round on this tough concrete track.
It's going to be 120 laps for these drivers here this evening. Of course, we talk about during the regular season. It's going to be just as important here during the playoffs. Stage points will be handed out at halfway completion of lap 60. We'll see who of our playoff contenders will be able to get those valuable points in preparation for next week, as Jeremy Jeffries, Jeff Supta, a couple of those championship hopefuls, line up on the front row. Jeremy looking for his 5th win on the season. Jeff looking for his 2nd. A couple more playoff contenders will be behind them in row 2 with Josh Metallic and Brian Schilling. Dennis McCarthy, he'll make up row number 3 with Ulysses Sandoval, Jim Gloud, and Rodney Sullins. They'll be back in row 4. Then you got to go back to row 5 before you find some more of our playoff contenders. Two-time winner Nick Gunther and the regular season champion Grant Wesley completing the top 10. Ron Hagelin and Terry Bombard, they're going to be back in row 6. Row 7, we'll find Bob Dixon and Dave Robbins. Glenn Harris and Colin Flick, who's leading the Challenger points and is a playoff contender, back in row 8. Row 9 with Bobby Farrell and playoff driver Denny Carroll. Cy Jones was the last driver to take time. He'll share row 10 with Brian Rawson. Bob LaChance and Dave Melson. LaChance, a playoff contender, I do believe. Let me double check on that.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. He and Dave Melson, who is also a playoff driver, they're going to be back in row 11. Dante Ricky with Frank Rivard back in row 13. And then the final driver in the field, making up the 26-car field this evening, is going to be John Godfrey.
Well, Jeremy Jeffries likes winning the pole here a lot, Seth. Not having too much luck on the finishing end of the deal here. So tonight we'll see if his luck goes any better for him. Certainly starting in the right spot. Seen some guys win here before. Season 56, yours truly, and season 59, Jeff Supta, and most recently season 62, our last week winner, Brian Schilling, our most recent winners. And by the way, season 62, as we're getting ready to go to green, podium finish, Mr. Seth Cole.
Yeah.
Way to go, sir.
Some interesting circumstances led to that, but hey, I'll take it. My first podium here in the Barebones Racing Series, as here we go. Green flag in the air, 120 laps in our first playoff race, and already trouble for the leader, loose in front of the field. Nice catch there by Jeremy Jeffries.
They're stacking up all the way back,
Oh,
and
there they
somebody's
go.
now going around the backstretch.
Yep, couple of them around there out of turn 2. Terry Bombard was one. Colin Flick may have been the other. As we're sliding up the racetrack there in 3 and 4, Brian Schilling got up into the outside wall, and Jeff Supta is going to lead us back here to the first caution. I think we'll be talking a lot about it here tonight, and we saw a prime example of it right there on the initial start. Cold tires turn 1. Horrible combination when it's a concrete surface.
It sure is. We thought we'd get going for a little bit here, but it sure didn't take long. About the length of the first straightaway, and under caution we are.
Let's take a look and see what happened. I know the 10 of Terry Bombard was one driver I saw out of shape on the top side off of 2. I believe Colin Flick was the other. They might have gone around at the same time. We're also going to be looking as well at the save by Jeremy Jeffries there through 1 and 2. Yeah, you see Terry gets the wall. As he's coming off the wall, the car snaps around. Flick's already in trouble underneath him down on the low side.
Yep, just it looks like it may have even started from the whole checkup back in the beginning.
Yep. Take another look here at the 10. Oh, yeah, he got into the back of Nick Gunther. I didn't even see that with that checkup. And then I don't know if Colin Flick gets a little help. That's Glenn Harris who was behind him. But to your point, a lot of drivers trying to figure out, do I throttle up? Do I back off with what's going on in front of me, with Jeremy trying to gather that machine up? And to credit to Josh Metallic, who I believe was the driver behind him, being able to get on the, well, I don't even necessarily know if he used the brakes. He definitely lifted to be able to get some space between him and the 1, allowing Jeremy to catch that. We saw right there, that was Denny Carroll got into the back of Colin Flick, spinning him around.
Yep, and the 95 was coming around. As soon as he exited the turn, around he went as well. He saw the trouble coming up ahead. Yeah, that's the save we're going to see right now.
Yeah, take a look at this. This is amazing. This is a rather shallow entry into turn 1 as well for the initial start. And you just see, as soon as it comes around, uses that apron, able to catch it. There are so many things, so many factors right there where that car should have spun and didn't.
I tell you, we're going to see this tonight for as many incidents as we may see at this treacherous track. We're going to see some great racecrafts and some great work. I guarantee you the 39, the 4, Rodney and Ulysses there, and Grant, that whole group, they're just holding their breath and breathing a sigh of relief. And Brian got up into those marbles, and there are some marbles right up here against the wall in the turns. You don't want to get right up there. They will grab you.
Yeah, you saw right there that dust being kicked up there. So to your point, those marbles up there, and maybe a blessing and a curse with them being up there. One, it kind of slows the car down as it approaches the outside wall, but at the same time, I mean, momentum is key at a track like Dover. You're going to be slowed, and there's going to be a bunch of drivers that are probably going to be right in your back bumper, ready to pounce and take positions from you.
Hey, we're going to get re-racked now, and this is actually right off the bat going to be one of the toughest scenarios. You don't want to give up track position here. You just don't. It's such a premium. So now you've recycled your tires once. It's one lap, but still, they're going to be some really cold tires. This is going to be tough to get this one going. They're going to have to really all be on their toes.
Need to remind everybody here as well, with this being the first round of the playoffs for our 12 championship competitors. You win here tonight, guess what? You go to Indianapolis already locked into the round of 8. So there's a lot on the line for these drivers outside of just a checkered flag as an opportunity to move on to the next round for the championship at a track that I don't know what side of the spectrum it could be on, whether it be in terms of a position track or in terms of a pit strategy track. Indy always seems to kind of be a bit of an X factor depending on how the race circumstances play out. And I don't know if you necessarily want to be going into a track like that with a lot of question marks. You'd love to have the relief knowing that you're already locked into that next round of the playoffs.
Deep breath here. Survival should be the thought about this restart. We'll see how we do as they go green.
Supta chose the inside line here for this restart as the control car. Has the shallow entry into 1. Ooh, got the apron there. Gets a little loose as he pushes up the track. Jeremy will look to get the power down off the corner, and I think he's going to get a little bit better straight line speed. Can't clear the 11x3, though.
Bobby Farrell was hugging the apron and the track the whole way on that lap and did a great job of just finally getting it settled and getting it up on the track.
Supta's going to clear for the top position. Jeffrey slots to second. Battle's going to be for third. It's Ulysses Sandoval trying that upper groove. Tried to stay to the right rear of Josh Metallic. Couldn't do it. Here comes Schilling now for fourth.
Third way to pass here is going to be on the inside. Tires should be coming up to temperature now or shortly. We should see some good battles.
That's a thing, too, that I didn't mention that's a prevalent point here with tonight's race. I kicked off the evening saying this track shreds tires. Well, even worse for the guys here tonight because we're on 3X in terms of tire wear and fuel consumption. Maybe more important there for those Goodyears than the Sunoco fuel in the tank.
Yep, magic number for tonight. 32 laps. You could try to do 33. I did it in my simulated run, and I was literally running out, taking the checkers, but I was still at speed, so 32 is the safe lap, and we get to talking closer. Lap 60 is going to be the halfway bonus points for tonight. As we start to get straightened out a little bit here, I can see the whole field. I'm looking at spectator view, and I can see that we're all single file right up from the beginning to the end.
Everybody right now, I think, kind of just racing the racetrack, waiting till those tires are up to temperature, the comfortability to start making moves. As we look at Grant Wesley, won the regular season championship, but with the points reformatted, he got 3 bonus points for winning the regular season championship, but he comes in tied for the 3rd seed in terms of the order. He's in the 5th seed coming into this one. Obviously, for the drivers that went to victory lane, they got 3 bonus points for each one of their wins. Grant Wesley got the 3 bonus points for the regular season championship. Everybody else starts at 500 points each, so there's a half dozen drivers that are currently tied for the 7th seed. 12 points in total, separating the 12 drivers overall.
And that'll occur again as we go into the second round of the playoffs after we eliminate drivers from Indianapolis next week.
Supta starting to pull away here. Something that I love about Dover. We'll go on board here with Jeremy Jeffries as he's trying to close in on Jeff Supta, but a lot of people, I don't think, appreciate the layout of this particular racetrack. This is not just a normal mile racetrack. As we go on board here, watch the car as it comes out of the corner. It's going to rise up onto the front straightaway. You see the elevation change there. As soon as we get down to turn 1, it's going to dip down into the corner. These drivers, I hope that none of them have seasickness because 120 laps of up, down, that could be physically taxing.
Yeah, the real drivers describe it often as a roller coaster. It's exactly that up, down that we're looking at right now that is the cause of a lot of these incidents on cold tires. If we don't spin them up, trying to get the power down, which is so difficult here, you've got to get through these first couple turns and deal with those elevation changes and those little bumps. We saw how well it upset Jeremy's car on the very first turn. It looks like we're getting ready to have a battle for position. Look like Jim Glaude might have been looking at Brian Schilling as Nick Gunther has picked up another spot, and he's going to go to work on Jim Glaude.
This will be for 7th. Gunther 2-time winners, first full-time season here. Ron Hagelin right behind him, one of our playoff contenders. Ooh, gonna brush the wall a little bit there off of 4. Does the 111 Coca-Cola Chevrolet. We'll be seeing that a lot during the course of this race, especially as we talked about track position being important. It's also important because you got clean air to the nose. If you're in somebody else's draft, especially if you get back to the throttle a little too soon, coming off of more specifically 4 than 2, you're more than likely going to push up and you're going to have a little bit of contact with the right side of your machine to the outside wall. So a little brush there for Ulysses Sandoval.
Yep, and you said it is a tire shredder, and tire wear is critical. Tire temperature with this concrete, not so much, but the tire wear does mount, and this is a typical Dover race. It's starting to look like a typical Dover race. All strung out, single file, to be, if you make a mistake or push up a little bit, if somebody's there to capitalize, kind of like we talked about at the road courses last week, you pick up a position that way. Maybe working our way towards green flag pit stops. Numbers to look at now as they come up quickly on lap 16. If we make it to lap 28, you're in range of making it to the halfway point from there. And we had a couple caution laps early to start it out. So not too early to start thinking about things like that, but we get these green runs and then we get the caution flag and then everything changes.
You mentioned the words green flag pit stops, and normally any other venue, it'd be okay. You mentioned it at Dover, I'm filled with a sense of dread. This pit road, it is maybe one of the toughest, for myself personally and for what I've seen in the past for drivers, to get onto. It's kind of a blind corner there off of turn 4. You got high banking onto a flat apron. You got to get the thing wound down to 35, 40 miles per hour, depending on which track version of Dover you're running. So many times we have seen drivers be that 1 or 2 miles per hour just over as they approach the commitment line. Next thing you know, you're hood first into that attenuator wall.
It can happen. It's your reward for having a full green flag run. Green flag
Some reward.
I know what I want to do. I want to be last one pitting.
Yes. Let everyone else make the mistakes before I do.
Right, Wesley looks like he may be picking up and getting close to, looks like Ulysses.
And this is something I was mentioning too. Dover is one of those racetracks kind of similar to maybe a Martinsville or a Richmond, where it's a rhythm racetrack. When you have a car that may be a little faster than the driver in front of you, you're going to chip away by thousands, maybe hundreds if you're lucky, of a second. You're not going to eat into an interval by tenths. You have to patiently chip away on the driver in front of you to first set up a pass, then you try to execute the pass, and that itself might not even last for a lap. That might last for 2 or 3 laps, depending on circumstances. It's one of these racetracks, like we said, where track position is important because it takes so long. It's a painstaking process to pick up just one position, let alone multiple if you're deep in the field.
And you have to keep the rhythm up because you have to be there should that driver push up just a little bit, because that's your chance and you have to make your move when it presents itself. And the razor's edge there is not running too hard so that you do have the ability to make the move when it does open up.
A couple of our playoff drivers back here outside of the top 10. Bob LaChance was able to snag one of the final spots in the playoffs last week with a solid outing at Infineon. Right now he's in the 14th position. Dave Melson right behind him in the Wendy Chevrolet, another playoff contender, in 15th. Denny Carroll is back here.
Dave Melson has top 5s. Sorry, I was just pointing out Dave Melson has top 5s in 2 of the last 3 races here.
Oh, wow. So looking to find that speed here as we're more than 20 laps into this run. Currently in that 15th position. Looks like Glenn Harris is going to give way to Denny Carroll, so he'll move up to 16th. There's Colin Flick as well, trying to work his way up on by. He'll pick up the 17th position. See if we got any other of our playoff contenders back here. I believe that those were the last ones. Yep. But, I mean, for those drivers back here, like Flick and Carroll and Melson, are you kind of right now maybe thinking about potential undercut strategy if we get to those green flag pit stops you're talking about? Because looking at the lap times currently, from what they ran back at the beginning of this race, we're looking at nearly about 3 to 4, maybe even half a second of fall off already.
It is so tough to try to pit early here with the way the caution can just suddenly come out. It's tempting. I don't know if I'm going to be taking. Oh, Jeff catches the apron just a little bit. There's the opportunity, and Jeremy is going to capitalize. Got
those left sides down on the white line of the apron, pushed up. Jeremy says thank you for the inside line, and Supta's not going to be able to fight him there through 1 and 2. Jeremy going to go back to the point after starting on the pole position. This is surprisingly, if he ends up, which he is, comes out of turn 4. This is Jeremy's first lap lead of the evening. He had that moment on the first lap, first corner over in turn 1, and Supta was able to get around him, had been leading up to this point. So the pole sitter finally gets back to P1, 26 laps in.
Tell you, textbook pass, just like we were just talking about it. You know, you have to be there, and he was for that. And when you're racing against these guys who've been doing it for so many years, and it's a pleasure, you know, you're waiting for that one mistake, and it's so hard. Sometimes they just never come. These guys are that good.
Right now, it looks like we have 6 playoff contenders up inside of our top 7. A big number we'll be talking about next week will be the 8th position in the standings, because that is going to be the final driver to transfer in. And for drivers here right now, they're trying to get themselves in a safe position to that particular 8th spot in the standings in preparation for next week. You know, kind of looking at some of those drivers mid-pack. Those would be the drivers right now that would be going into next week a little bit nervous of whether or not their fortunes will improve or maybe not be exactly what they were hoping for when we leave Brickyard, as Supta again gets that apron there through 3 and 4.
And just like that, Josh Metallic to the inside is lather, rinse, repeat. And we think we see the same thing where Nick Gunther took the position at the same time from Grant Wesley. So move Nick Gunther up to what, 6th?
Yes. Yep, 6th place there. Or is that 6th? Yes, that is 6th for Gunther, moving his way by Grant.
I see a couple guys in this field. You know, Dover's a track. Is this the one Kyle Petty talked about? He wanted to turn it into basically a fishing pond.
I think so.
But, yeah, I could see that logic sometimes. But, you know, people love it. People hate it. I think there's a few guys in this field. Dave Robbins, for one of them, he loves running here at Dover. I put me on that list, and I think you said yourself you like that.
Oh, yeah. Like that guy right there in the 55. And I, last year, went to this venue, actually, for a Cup Series race. Love this facility.
On pit road. Looks like Brian Schilling, number 4, just hit pit road.
Trying to ride that momentum of getting the last win of the regular season, hoping it translates to maybe first win of the playoffs and an automatic ticket in the round of 8. Looks like another playoff driver back there, Ron Hagelin, making the dive onto pit road along with Dave Robbins. And this again plays into what you said. That's a big hit there for Brian Rawson. They're playing the risk here. The risk versus the reward. The reward is if we cycle out, they're going to have some really good outlaps on these fresh tires. The risk is if the caution comes out, they're definitely going to lose at least 1 lap, maybe 2, depending on how long the pit stops take, and they'd get trapped off the lead lap under a yellow flag.
Everybody's got to come in the next 3 laps or so, because we're at lap 33 here, which is the far end of the window, so minus the green flag. So Arizona trying to pit, and Jeff Supta, wow, that is so tough. Great job, Jeff Supta. He is on pit road now.
See those 2 caution cones there. Ooh, I think LaChance may have actually swung to the outside of that right side cone. I don't know how much of a stickler this racetrack is about that commitment line back there with the cones on whether it's an unsafe or safe entry onto pit road. I don't know exactly where the commitment line actually is, but we'll see if that ends up being maybe some potential penalty there for the 51. As you see, Nick Gunther very aggressive there on entry, closed right up with Jeremy Jeffries at the commitment line. Dante Ricky, Bob Dixon also in this lap.
This place is not a place you want to speed at. Looks like Josh Metallic and Grant Wesley will be the last ones of our leaders to come down pit road, and Bobby Farrell back in.
Dave Robbins back in, so I think he may have gotten hit with a speeding penalty. There's Metallic. Sandoval slides those rear tires as he crosses that commitment line. Sullen's in. Dave Melson. In there.
Look at this. I think that might be just about everybody.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe if we cycle this around, Brian Schilling's going to have himself a pretty sizable lead back to, I think, Supta, who's going to cycle to second, depending on how up to speed the 1 and the 55 get here.
Everybody doing a great job on it. This is no easy track to get back on the track. You know, get back off.
Oh!
As we say it, hang on again, Jeremy.
Woo! All right, note to self. If we come back here to Dover, have a Jeremy Jeffries save counter, because he's up to 2.
It's 2 on today. He did say it's bad luck here. He's trying to spin, but he just keeps saving himself.
So right now, Schilling is scored in 14th, but we're waiting for everything to cycle around. Now moves him up to 9th, and he should move to the race lead here next time by. A couple of other drivers actually stayed out a little bit longer, too. Frank Rivard, Grant Wesley, Jim Gloud Dennis McCarthy. They've all hit pit road here, so the 4 should cycle to the front here within the next lap or two.
Tell you, not a bad strategy played there by Frank Rivard. Played a long game. If he could make it an extra lap and he'll get the point in the season standings, but more importantly, it was his best chance to take advantage of the caution. Starting to see some lap traffic now as well.
That's going to be Glenn Harris, John Godfrey up there ahead of the Kodak Chevrolet. Yeah, this time by, we'll end up seeing the 4-car go to P1 as Frank Rivard was on pit road that last time. And we'll have to see what the interval is going to be here between Schilling back to Supta with a lap car in between them as well.
2.6, that's pretty impressive.
Brian Rawson right there in front of Gunther, Metallic, Jeffries, Bobby Farrell, another lap car right in between here as well. Talk about patience, well, not only with lead lap drivers, but with the lap cars that you're battling around as well here at Dover. Man, Brian Rawson's going to have no right side left on that Valvoline Chevrolet after this thing is done.
Good thing we use composite bodies these days. It's been taking a rough shot, but I tell you, as much as as dangerous as the lip of this apron can be, guys still want to use it to help because you want to get down there as close as you can when you're trying to make time.
So Brian Schilling goes out to the race lead after the short pit strategy. On the other side of that is Grant Wesley, who ran the longest of the playoff contenders. Is there a scenario here for Grant, who's going to cycle to 6th, that he will have fresher tires and be able to reel in drivers at the tail end of the top 5 by the end of this run? Or is this track so abrasive on the tires that doesn't necessarily come into play?
Well, we're even not before the end of the run. We're 19 laps from halfway. Amazing to see. And they're all within fuel range of making. Even Brian Schilling, the first one, he hit pit at lap with 31, so he was plenty within the range. And just curious who can close up the gap in these 18 now laps. The gap is down to 2.3, so 0.3 Jeff has picked up since we came out with a lap car in between.
Well, they were bumper to bumper, but a little bit of distance opened up now between Gunther and Jeremy Jeffries. That's for the 4th position. 6 victories between those two drivers during the course of this 9-race regular season. There's another of the drivers that has been to victory lane as well. Carried 3 valuable bonus points here into the reformatted playoff standings in Supta. Interval now looks like it's about 2.2 seconds from Schilling back to Supta. And for Schilling, it just keeps getting better because now he's got a couple more drivers in the rearview mirror in John Godfrey and Glenn Harris that he's put -1, and those will be drivers that Supta will have to get around before he can focus his sights on Brian Schilling for the race lead.
I tell you, unless Brian's tires start falling off a little more dramatically, it's going to be tough for these guys to catch to him before we get to the halfway point at the way this is looking right now.
Something I've been noticing here as well, and we saw maybe Jeff Supta do it a little too well. These drivers' ability to wrap the bottom, specifically over there in 3 and 4. A lot of times I'll see drivers at a Dover, they'll run the middle line, try and get a little bit better of a straight line off of turn 4, but these drivers have been able to, as you see right there, just get those left sides right down on the white line and still be able to punch the throttle as they come off of turn 4. Some pretty good turnability there exiting out of the corner.
Yeah, that is the fastest way around, especially when you're trying to qualify here. But if you can, like I said, just hook that lip, Kevin Harvick style, I guess you want to say, you can get a pretty good launch off of 4 where you're not pushing up so dramatically into the walls you would think. But you've got to get down there and it's got to rotate.
Josh Metallic right now in the 3rd position. Former winner this season back at Rockingham. Comes into this one in a 4-way tie for the 3rd seed in the playoffs. And, we talked about Grant Wesley winning the regular season championship. A lot of that, not only based off consistency, but garnered a lot of stage points. Now, Metallic missed a couple of races during the regular season, but his win locked him into the playoffs. But he also was a driver that was able to gobble up a lot of stage points. And looks like he's in line for some valuable ones here, about 12.5 laps away from the halfway point.
Yeah, it looks like our top 6 are all playoff drivers at the moment, correct?
You would be correct in that. And they are the only 6 right now inside of the top 10. You'd have to go back to 11th place, where you would find Ron Hagelin. Bob Lachance is in 12th. Denny Carroll 13th. Dave Melson 14th. So they're all clumped together there. I believe the furthest running of the drivers right now of the playoff contenders is Colin Flick. He is the last driver on the lead lap in the 20th position, and looks like that might be him right there. He's got a straightaway between himself and the leader, Brian Schilling.
I tell you, talk about straightaways. This Safer Barrier Project track from J-Rock back in the day is still beautiful. Looking at my broadcast perch here in spectator view, I've got a bird's eye view of almost the entire track and watching how they're spread out nose to tail, and everybody looks like they're doing a great job.
It's like a giant conveyor belt, a little bit bigger than Bristol, only a half-mile in length, but especially with what we had there, the round of green flag pit stops, doesn't take long for the field to kind of get spread out, and everybody is racing somebody, whether you're on the same lap with them or not.
Yep, and we see this race, and this race may continue. It has happened before. I said there was that fateful day in September of 2019 where we ran caution-free at this track, but the average over all the runs is 7.153. We've run this track setup combination 14 different times. This will be the 14th time, and the 7.153. The most cautions, 16 in season 50.
So far, closing in on the halfway, and we've only had that one yellow here on the first lap of this race. Got into a groove, got those tires warmed up. We've been green ever since, which, if we continue to trend that way, is going to put more and more emphasis on pit road. So far during that cycle of green flag pit stops, only one driver was hit for speeding. That was Dave Robbins. Everybody else was able to get their cars woed down, and at least it looks like everybody was able to get those pit stops completed without incident. So right now, based off of the numbers that you gave me, we're going to have to make those pit stops at least 2 more times here, though.
Yep, 2 more times as we're approaching 6 to go here to the halfway point. But these guys really know how to, I mean, just getting through the green flag round, stops in and out shows the quality of these guys, the communication, and just that's a phenomenal job. And it looks like they may be stacking up to do it again.
Caution! Yellow flag is out.
And I am seeing nothing in my bird's eye view. Caution, pace car is out.
Denny
on the
Carroll's
track.
down on the apron there through 1 and 2.
Backstretch.
Playoff contender in that Crown Royal Chevrolet. We'll see if he maybe was the reason that this caution came out. Second one here this evening. And what an interesting time for this caution to come out, nearing 5 laps to go in the stage. Did we have an engine failure?
I'm starting to wonder that exact thing.
This is out of 4.
Yep, out of 4 and just off the pace. Wow,
yep, engine
after
shut
all
off.
that.
That's a tough break there for Denny Carroll. Very consistent here during the regular season. Pointed his way into the top 12 for a playoff berth and came into this race in the 10th seed of the 12 playoff contenders.
Here come the leaders down pit road. This race is about to possibly make a change.
Could be a must-win situation next week for Denny Carroll at Indianapolis, depending on how the points pay out here tonight. As something else I noticed here, this pit road, as you see Jeremy have to back up, this pit road is very, very congested. I mean, you have some marked out pit stalls there, but that's not necessarily where the pit stalls are. I've seen a number of drivers actually have to park on the pit line because the pit stalls are so small.
And Brian Schilling be out first. Camshaft appears to be the demise of the 41 of Denny Carroll, so he will have to race his way in at Indianapolis next week. And it looks like they're pretty orderly coming off here, Seth.
Yeah, they are. Good pit stops for a number of these drivers, but slow for Metallic and Supta.
Perhaps an opportunity to get a little bit of damage fixed.
Either that, or I didn't actually take notice right out of the gate. Did everybody go with 4 tires, or did some of these drivers up here maybe just go with 2?
Bear with me, and I'll take a quick look back and see. It is also exceptionally tough getting blocked in your stalls here.
Oh, yes.
Even with the bigger pits edition that J-Rock did here, it is tough.
As you documented, Denny Carroll out of the race with a mechanical problem. Brian Rawson had gone to the garage area about 15 laps ago prior. He is also out of the race, so we will have 23 drivers remaining. I believe John Godfrey, Glenn Harris were the first 2 drivers 1 lap down when that caution flew. They'll get the lucky dogs, be back on the lead lap, and we'll have 21 of our remaining 23 drivers on the same lap as leader Brian Schilling.
It looks like basically 4 tires were the order that all the way around, but as we suspected, it looked like Josh got stuck in. It's just tough getting in and out of these stalls. They're crammed into each other, and did 39 did indeed get hung up there.
So Metallic and Supta both going to drop back from what was second and third at the time. Looks like when they crossed the line, that previous Metallic was back in 11th, Supta was in 13th. So they still have an opportunity to get a couple of stage points here at the conclusion of lap 60, but certainly not nearly going to have as many bonus points in their bucket as they would have had should they have finished this stage under green. They would have gotten 8 and 9 points apiece right now. They have 0 with where they're currently positioned. They'd have to get up inside of the top 10.
And a little more bigger picture danger, trying if something should break out in front of them here on this restart. And it looked like Jeff was waiting on damage, and Josh was blocked in. So that's probably how that all went down.
There you see Godfrey and Harris up there on the outside line. They'll wait for the lights to go out on the Toyota Camry pace car. They'll go around, get their laps back, and then we'll be able to get doubled up and ready to go here. Brian Schilling going to be the control car, and he'll elect the inside line. The Gunther to his outside. Then Grant Wesley and Jeremy Jeffries. That's going to be the first 2 rows, and that's your playoff contenders. Then it's non-playoff drivers back through the remainder of the top 10 with the exception of 1. Sandoval, Ricky, Sullins, Gloud, LaChance, 5th through 9th. Dave Melson right now in the 10th position, playoff driver. So 5 drivers inside of the top 10, 4 of them on the first 2 rows here, as this restart is going to put us at 2 laps to go to end out the halfway stage.
Oh, deep breaths and pull those belts tight again. Well, at least Jeremy's on the outside line, so we won't have to possibly see the trifecta of apron saves on this restart.
True.
And it just reminders with all season they will keep going at halfway. We just award the points and keep on racing.
Is this I was just going to say, with the timing of this, does this put us at 1 stop to the finish, or are we borderline going to be short and have to make it 2 stops still?
No, actually we could. We are 1 stop if we go full fuel runs to the finish from here. It's about 32 laps to 33 laps, so yep. The magic number to get to on the lap here as we get ready to go green, we'll let it green flag out.
Good launch
Rodney
for
spun
both.
the tires a little bit, but they all gathered up, it looked like.
Yeah, good launch for both drivers on that front row. Schilling will have the advantage, shorter way around the racetrack through 1 and 2. Looks to clear up. Not quite clear. Gunther trying to stay to the right rear quarter panel. And he'll battle with Grant Wesley now for second as Schilling will finally clear off the corner. Proverbial white flag in the air, caution's out. So that's going to end out the stage right there. Schilling will get the 10 points. Wesley will cross second, Gunther in third, and I believe Jeremy Jeffries, well, it was close between him and Ulysses Sandoval. I don't know if he got 4th or 5th, but he'll be top 5 here at the conclusion of the stage regardless.
We had some trouble breakdown back around. Looks like going into turn 3 around the 143.95 and 024.
3 wide, it looks like, actually, here.
Does not work here.
No, it does not. Bob Dixon up the track. McCarthy pulls low. Flick is to the inside. Little bumper cars there as they all slide into turn 3. Oh, Dave Robbins goes up and over. Nowhere to go as he's sandwiched there, along with Terry Bombard.
Tough break for Dave Robinson. He does love this place.
Take another look here from the aerial view of how this culminates. 143, I think, gets a little up out of the groove. 024 gets a big run, as does the 95. And, just that slight bit of contact just has them bouncing off of each other. And there's nowhere to go as they slide up into the entry of turn 3.
They're rarely small here. They really are. It's tough. If even if it happens in front of you, just avoiding it is so difficult. And I tell you, feel bad for Dave Robbins. Now that, if you know Dave Robbins, that man can really sing. He's got a beautiful voice, but he's probably going to be singing the blues with that heavy contact.
He was running at the time in the 23rd position. He was a couple laps down. He lost an extra lap when he had to come to pit road for a speeding penalty when we had that round of green flag pit stops. Looks like Bobby Farrell side Jones the only two drivers that are one lap down, and they will get the lucky dog here under this caution. Dave will be the only lap car still running when we go back green. But just moments ago was the conclusion of lap 60, so the stage points were handed out. For playoff contenders, 10 points would go to Brian Schilling, 9 to Grant Wesley, 8 to Nick Gunther, 7 to Jeremy Jeffries. Bob LaChance would get 2, and Dave Melson was able to snipe 1 bonus point there at the conclusion of this halfway point. Kind of when we talk about beginning of the season for Jeremy Jeffries, Jeff Supta, playoff drivers missing out on those valuable stage points, Metallic and Supta, who were running top 5 for most of the first half of this race. Those problems on pit road, neither one of them got any stage points here at the halfway point.
Well, they did seem to survive that incident. It happened behind them, but now we are in that cycle where can we break the cycle? We see the long green flag run. We had that. We saw the incredible green flag pit stops. We got through that, and then more to go. And now can we break what always seems to be the cycle of cautions breeding cautions? And I don't think the leaders would have pitted anyway because we had just gotten going and track position is so important, but it was interesting that they had to stay out if they wanted to collect those bonus points.
Yeah, maybe a scenario if we pitted now, we could make it the rest of the way. Maybe we would have come to pit road, but we got a ways before we'd get to that window here for these drivers. I think as well, we saw what happened there with Denny Carroll. You know, the random blow up. You don't know what could happen next week at Indianapolis. You could be running really well, and all of a sudden you have a random mechanical failure. You're going to be really glad that you had those bonus points for picking up spots here at the halfway point in the bucket if something like that happens, especially if it puts you down precariously at the end of that Indy race somewhere around that 8th in the standings cut line.
And when you get into these caution cycles and you realize the potential for cautions with the perils that this track brings, you're almost looking road course-esque. I mean, I don't want to pit unless everybody else is pitting. I don't want to give up my track position of one of these front 5, 6 guys. I'm looking for lap 87, maybe lap 88 for certain, but 87 will put you right there, fuel to the end. And that's, you know, as the cautions come out, I'm looking, where am I in relation to that? Because if I can't make it from here, you know, I don't know if I want to pit. And then if you get a caution close to it, do you bank on more cautions and say, this is my, you know, my line in the sand? We'll have to see how it all plays out, to be determined very shortly.
Also going to be interesting to see here with Brian Schilling, because you go back to that first round of pit stops, he was running, I believe, in 4th or 5th position when he came to pit road. He was the first of the playoff contenders to dive onto pit lane. We obviously saw that translated his benefit with those outlaps on fresh tires, but now he's restarting the leader. If we get into a long green flag run here, does he, as the leader, make the initial dive onto pit road when we hit that window you're talking about, try and take advantage of those fresh tires again, or has the situation changed with the position that he's currently in? I don't know. It would be interesting to see if he had a strategy going in, if he sticks to that plan, or if now we call an audible because now we're the control car.
It's an excellent point, Seth. And you saw they all took note of what he did, and they also took note of how he did afterwards and was holding his own, you know, just fine. So we'll have to see. And here we go.
Great launch on that top side there for Grant Wesley. He'll stay alongside of Schilling through 1 and 2, but Schilling was able to get the better run off the back straightaway and into 3 and 4 to clear for the race lead on the last restart. Looks to do the same. He'll have him stacked up for second behind him now as Gunther gets to the inside of the 88. Schilling clear for the top spot again off of 4, and caution will wave once more here. Our 4th caution of the night.
We are in the spin cycle.
It's happening now. Yep, the cautions are breeding cautions.
The historical data almost proves it's hard to avoid.
Dennis McCarthy on pit lane. Not sure if he was the driver that may have had the problem or not.
Looks like he was potentially involved.
Yep, this was going into 3. Oh, he just got loose.
Yep.
Trying to save it. Nobody else hits him, just a solo spin that brings out the yellow.
And not too much damage. Now that doesn't happen too often. So,
No.
So he should be able to continue on, and we'll re-rack him in with even colder tires.
So 4th caution of the evening here. Brian Schilling now with that last trip around as the race leader is currently in possession of another valuable bonus point. That'd be the most laps led here tonight. Jeff Supta had led 25 laps in the opening of this race, but now Schilling has led 26, now gone on to 27 laps. So if we talk about every position, every point matters, we maybe don't put a whole lot of emphasis on most laps led bonus point, but who knows? Dependent on when we end up getting the checkers next week in Indianapolis, that could be the difference maker as to whether you're going to be 1 point to the good or 1 point behind the cut line to be able to move on to the next round.
Told you, I lost the championship not too long ago, and it was by 2 points. That's the difference between me not leading one lap and clinching that extra point, and my fellow competitor actually leading that lap and clinching the extra point. Came down to that close after the whole season, so it could happen again.
It's funny too, right? Because a lot of times as a driver, you don't necessarily think about it. I mean, being up here in the booth, we're able to look at all the numbers, look at the running order. That's at the forefront of our minds because we're not having to worry about all the do's and don'ts these drivers have to do behind the wheel of these machines. But as a driver, those might be some of those things that you actually tend to forget. Certainly stage points are at the forefront of your mind. Maybe leading a lap is at the forefront of your mind. But how many drivers actually think about that valuable bonus point of leading the most laps? Probably not very many.
You do if you're up in that area. Like, if you start leading a few, then you want to think about it. Everybody's trying to lead the one. And speaking of which, has Nick Gunther got one led tonight yet?
He does not.
He could be, trying to pounce just for that purpose. He may not want to take the lead and consume the lead, but if he could just hang on the high side, get a good enough jump somehow to lead one, wouldn't be without the realm of trying. Tough task to do from the outside here. If you ask me, the outside is more treacherous to restart in than the inside.
Yeah, so far we've only had 5 drivers out in front. Schilling with 28 laps led, 25 for Jeff Supta, 2 apiece for Grant Wesley and Frank Rivard, and then 1 for Josh Metallic. Wesley's, Metallic, and Rivard's laps were all led during the cycle of green flag pit stops.
And just to clarify myself, when I say the outside, I mean getting the power down when that light goes green. It seems to be a little more difficult than the outside. Once we get into the turn, yeah, the outside might be a little better place to be.
So we should get the lights this time by out on the pace car. This caution is going to help Dave Robbins. He's 2 laps down. He'll get one of those laps back. Only car off the lead lap. Dennis McCarthy, who we saw bring out this yellow, has taken his car back behind the wall, so he'll join Denny Carroll and Brian Rawson.
The lights are going to go out now. And we'll see. Like I said, even colder tires, and we've seen great jobs up front, and then just not being able to get that first lap in. If we can get those first couple laps in, we might set sail.
Interesting question for you here. We've seen so far tonight, if you're the race leader, if you're the control car, you're taking the inside line, and I know it's obviously the shorter way around the racetrack, but in terms of the tires being cold, you really have to make sure that your back end is going to be planted when you're going in the shorter, shallower entry into turn 1. Would there be a scenario where a race leader, a control car, would actually elect the outside line, maybe have a little bit more slide in the back end when you're going into the sweeping entry of the corner to maybe hope that the tires go up to temperature enough for the grip you need, and then maybe hope you get the power down off the corner, or are we just fully committed to the bottom and hoping it sticks?
I think the latter, fully committed to the bottom. You're almost going to sacrifice the position of the top. It's just, the geometry of the track. It's just you just want to be on the bottom and hope and pray to get the good. It doesn't slide much. You want to not be necessarily on the bottom going into 1 and 2, but see how this goes. And pace car's off. We're about to find out, Seth. Deep breaths.
We've only had 2 multi-time winners on the season. Schilling looking to be the 3rd. Green flag back in the air is the Chevrolet of Schilling. The Mazda of Gunther head into turn number 1. Grant Wesley in the 3rd spot. And Ulysses Sandoval has had a good run tonight as the highest running non-playoff driver. We had a little contact right there between Schilling and Gunther. Both were able to save it. Both squirrely off the corner. And we're fanning 3 wide there mid-pack.
Whole lot of squirreliness going on there on the backstretch. It looks like everybody settled it down. Great job.
Oh, there's the yellow. Someone must have had a moment over there in 3 because it looked like they had it all sorted out to the back straightaway.
Somebody on the bottom by 3 and 4.
That's Bob Dixon. Mentioned about him last week at Infineon. Got that Challenger victory. Actually had a really good week overall because the Aero 88 cars ran Wednesday night at Watkins Glen. He got the Challenger win there also. But some struggles here tonight at Dover, bringing out this 5th caution of the evening, and looks, well, I don't think there was any contact, but it was a compromised position going into 3 as Hagelin shoots to the bottom 3 wide, and, oh, maybe as the 111 kind of comes up the track there, it might have been a little lift out of the 143, and the rear tires just said nope.
Yep, right at that particular spot, unloading the rear suspension, it is very difficult to catch it up there. And yeah, Bob Dixon, road course ace for last week. And since we have that on the subject, Aero 88 cars this week are going to be at Nashville, the 1970s edition on Wednesday night. Yeah, Bob just unloaded and got loose.
Second straight yellow where we've had just a solo car incident and nobody else involved. So, wow, obviously it's frustrating, the cautions coming out for the drivers having to deal with cold tire restarts. At least we're not tearing up a whole lot of equipment here, which is something that Dover is very well known to do with how congested it can be. Almost kind of like a mini Daytona. They reckon you don't know necessarily where they're going to be when you come up on the incident.
See, we got one early taker playing some strategy. Jeff Supta was on pit road with some other guys this time by. Make note of that. It's outside the fuel window for sure by a good 10 laps, but we'll see. Just keep it in the back of our minds.
So are we thinking with that strategy, maybe some other cautions coming up, we can save enough fuel under the caution periods to get those 10 laps that we're lacking when everybody else comes to pit road, we get the track position and we're out in front with maybe 30 laps to go.
Yeah, but the consequences of that is you'll be dodging a lot of wrecked cars. It's going to take a lot of cautions to get you there, so it is a challenge. But you know, I considering where Jeff was, I see no problem with this. Why not?
Obviously, a couple of these yellows right now allowing drivers to maintain their track position. But while we highlight, obviously, here during the playoffs, the drivers battling for the championship, let's give a little love to the drivers that are out here. They don't have a championship in the balance, but they still want to go to victory lane just as much as the playoff contenders. This is Sandoval, as I mentioned there. He's been up inside the top 5 pretty much all night long. He's going to share the front row here with Nick Gunther. Jim Glaude on the inside of row 3 in that 72 machine has been putting together a good run tonight. Dante Ricky, he gained a ton of spots on that pit stop when we saw everybody on pit road there just before the halfway point, and he's currently up here inside of the top 10. And Rodney Sullins, Rodney had a tough home stretch there of the regular season. We saw him not make the race at Sonoma, which subsequently dropped him from inside of a playoff position to outside of the cut line. He's currently in the 8th spot here, so some good runs here for some of the non-playoff drivers who, think about it, could put as much emphasis on points as anything. If any of them go to victory lane here tonight, guess what? That golden ticket to the round of 8, it's gone.
Absolutely, and you know, hey, run. We always tell them, run your race. It's not just about the playoff drivers here. Everybody's here to have a good time, and it's like the lucky dog's going to come around. We're going to get probably the one to go this time. We won't see many shortened cautions on this track because of the difficulty getting the lucky dogs around and everything like that. And we will not shorten anything after 5 to go, is what I'm being told as well.
Well, about 10-15 laps ago, Dave Robbins was up and on his roof over entering turn 3. Now with these future yellows, he's now back on the lead lap with a chance to improve his positioning. So that will have all 22 of our remaining drivers on the lead lap when we get ready to go green. We have eclipsed 50 laps to go, and we're getting closer and closer, as you alluded to there, Sean. We're getting closer to that window where drivers will be looking to make that final pit stop to get them home, and it's a catch-22, right? Because obviously these drivers, they want to go green flag racing, but at the same time, I don't think very many of them would be all that disappointed if a caution came out around that window, so that way they can make their pit stops under yellow than rather having to deal with trying to make another green flag pit stop.
And guess who was in topping off again just now? And hey, since we rolled those tires around and got them cold on the concrete, we'll take 4 more tires.
Now that good.
Supta. So now we're at lap 73, so we're about 15 shy. You said 87 is your outside target number.
Pace car will make the left-hand turn back onto pit road. It's going to be Mazda, Toyota, Chevy, Ford. All the manufacturers represented up here inside of the top 5. You got a Nissan back there as well in 7th position. So 5 manufacturers. Well, actually, no. 6 manufacturers in the top 12. We add the dodge of Colin Flick. As green flag back in the air. They were able to make it to turn 3 before we had an incident to bringing out the last caution. See if we can make a lap and get these tires up to temperature. Gunther clears. Sandoval to second. Wesley to third. Battle be for 4th going into 3.
So far, so good. As here we go into turn 3. See several cars too wide. Somebody's down on the apron as we're getting into 3. Saves it. Looks like it could have been Cyber Jones. It looks like we're around 1 lap.
Yeah, flagman did not pick up the yellow flag here. We stay green. Schilling slides up the track a bit there. Slams the door on Jeremy Jeffries, who was looking to capitalize on that little slip. 4 will remain in P4 as Sandoval hounding Gunther for the top position here off the final corner.
Plenty of racing to go.
Gosh.
Oh, wow. There's 2 or 3 of them hit the wall there.
That was a combination of Jeffries, Gloud, and Sullins.
Looks like one of them is getting stuck on the onside. Looks like Josh Metallic now to the inside of Rodney Sullins.
Moves on by and might try and go for a twofer here as he closes up on the Wawa Nissan Altima of Dante Ricky.
Local boy, his home track.
Second place, thought might be up front under contest. Grant Wesley looked to the bottom on Sandoval, who slammed the door. And Jeremy Jeffrey is actually going to make a pass around Brian Schilling on the outside for the 4th position.
Yeah, Brian Schilling, who's led our most laps, suddenly finding himself sliding a few spots. Plenty of time left, though.
Jim Gloud now gets to his outside as well. He'll complete the pass and move up into the top 5, 5th position. Now Grant's got to the inside left rear of Ulysses Sandoval through 1 and 2.
Should be able to keep his nose there.
Ooh, Ulysses trying to pinch him down. Grant gets a little loose down on the apron just a bit.
He's going to hold it there. They're going to go side by side. He should get the advantage coming off of turn 2 here.
And he will. Clears for the 2nd spot. Grant Wesley, as we mentioned, got that regular season championship, but 0 in the win column so far here in season 65.
Jeremy says that's a point, and Ulysses is not in the chase. I need to get that point.
Boy.
Oh, there we go. Big trouble going to the inside wall.
Hagelin and LaChance, look out turn 1. Whew. Everyone avoided. 2-car incident there, and that would have been around the 11th position that battle was.
Now we're going to be asking that question we talked about we didn't want to ask earlier. We're going to get the green again somewhere around lap 84. Just a few shy. I'm pitting this time if I'm leading. I think I am.
Let's take a look at what happened off of 4 here. Maybe a little checkup for Ron Hagelin as Sullins was having some problems there from the back straightaway into 3. Stacks him up, and then I think LaChance. Oh, no. It's like Ron maybe trying to come off the wall. 2 of them, the 51 kind of pushing up, the 111 coming off the wall.
They met in the middle.
They did. And unfortunately at a track like Dover, especially on the front straightaway, you spin around, that inside wall, it comes up to you in quite a hurry. Didn't see anything that looked like race-ending contact for either of those drivers. Ron maybe dodging a bullet there that he didn't completely nose it into the wall. Little contact with the left front, and then most of the impact was to the rear for Bob LaChance.
Breaking news here, Seth. Everybody's on pit road except the leader, Nick Gunther. Nick Gunther stayed out, and they all came in behind him. I'm not sure what Nick. I just said before. I think I'll be coming now for sure. It looks like everybody else is thinking like me, but Nick says we're not done yet.
4 tires for everybody here. Grant leaving pit road. Jeremy's got that number 1 pit stall. Woo, that was close. I don't know if it scores to where the cone is.
Looked like gas. It looked like fuel only for Jeff too.
Well, that's some track position he gained right there. 5th off of pit lane. I'm not sure where scoring is, if it's with the final pit stall or if it's where that line was with the caution cone. Looks like Jeremy got the position, though, off the pit lane with that number 1 pit stall. Grant, Sandoval, Colin Flick. Did he go for fuel only as well? Because he gained quite a bit of track position.
Not a bad call if he did. I tell you that we talked about what Jeff did. We were watching this in real time. His strategy playing out, turning his lemons into lemonade.
Oh
And
no!
oh no, he's back on pit road.
Maybe a speeding penalty there for the 11. Dante Ricky's coming back in as well in the 84.
Miles the Monster handing out speeding tickets, it looks like.
Doesn't matter how, he'll find some way to get you. Even if he's got to put that parking meter maid vest on. Saw Bob LaChance on pit road there as well. That's a playoff driver involved in that incident. Looks like he's taking responsibility for the wreck. That's why he pitted the second time by. Lights out on the pace car. So we've had a few of our playoff drivers have some problems this evening. Started with Denny Carroll, who had a engine camshaft issue. He's out of the race in the 24th position. Ron Hagelin and Bob LaChance, both playoff contenders involved in this, our most recent caution. They were battling just outside of the top 10.
This restart's going to be worth the price of admission, Seth. Going to have Nick out there on several lap old tires.
He'll take that inside line. He'll have Jeremy Jeffries to his outside. Grant Wesley in third. Then non-playoff driver Ulysses Sandoval. Colin Flick, the Challenger points leader, playoff driver, going to complete the top 5 here as here we go. Less than 40 laps remaining here at Dover. Oh, you see those fresh tires come into play right away there with the launch Jeremy was able to get.
That did not take long. You just can't get the power down with those worn tires.
Jeremy clears for the top spot. Let's drop back here. It is tooth and nail just in the latter portion of the top 10. Schilling, Metallic on the bottom, trying to get by Rodney Sullins. There's Dave Melson there as well, has a big save. Oh, Hagelin! Off the nose of Terry. Bombard back up the trap and clicks the 10.
And they're done.
Everybody else able to get through there. Second time, second caution that the 111 is around. This time sliding up in the entrance of the first corner. 7th caution of the evening here at Dover.
They were almost through all that.
Let's take a look what happened here. It's Terry Bombard in the green and white 10 on the bottom. He was trying to gather the car up off of 4. Comes up the track and is not clear on Hagelin.
Yep, and there was contact, and could have been a lot worse. There was a gaggle that was 2x2 at the very back of the field. I was watching just as that broke out, and those guys had the presence of mind to get them. You almost saw that in the back of that shot. They were there, a diamond of 4 cars, and they got it all sorted out before they came upon this.
Terry gets clipped, and I think it was Dave Robbins. Yeah, he did a nice job. Might have used the wall a little bit there to slow up the race car. Make sure he didn't hit that Camel Dark Horse Mustang. Incredible thing to me is our last 4 cautions have involved only a total of 6 drivers.
That is incredible, given what we've seen here at Dover. We're not done yet. Like I said, we've seen cars, we've seen last lap shootouts that have ended with cars in the catch fence facing backwards crossing the start finish line. Jeff Supta on pit road again. Why not? Because Dante Ricky, who's coming off pit road right now, they were in that diamond of 4 cars way in the back of the field. So there's only things to be gained by stopping again here for them.
Yep, looks like Colin Flick is in as well. He was up there inside of the top 5 in that last restart, but maybe getting the fuel to be able to have the security of getting to the checkered flag now. Bob LaChance also on pit lane. Gunther continues to stay out here. We're in that window you were talking about now, fuel-wise, where we can make it to the finish. Would have thought that if not the previous caution, we would have seen the 55 on pit road this time.
Yeah, he's outside the box now for sure. He's going to have to hope for another caution, in several laps where everybody else is going to want to get those tires. That's pretty much his only play now. If he came down here, he'd have lost so much track position. But starting on the outside now, fresh tires below him, fresh tires behind him. he held his own, but it's going to be a tough order again.
Well, the thing of it is, too, kind of going back to Jeff Supta and his situation where we saw him go a little bit outside the box in terms of pit strategy, these cautions haven't necessarily helped him in the fact that every time that we have the yellow come out, these pace laps that we run, these are laps that you could have used under green to be able to set up and make passes and work your way forward. We run here under caution, your position stays stationary. In the case of the 55, with not coming to pit road under this caution, the thing that kind of worries me is you're giving away laps that you could be using on the tail end of this run to make forward progress again. You don't want to leave yourself, I don't think, with only 15, 20 laps to be able to work your way back up through the field, especially if we continue to trend with the cautions. In a sense, you're kind of giving away positions with every lap that's ticking away.
Such great analysis, yeah. And Jeff also doesn't want us to keep paying his tire bill because I think he get 2 more sets on this caution. He just got 4 another, so every time, why not? He colder tires, but
hold on. You told me beginning of the season tires are free, so.
Exactly, and he's taking full advantage of that. Why not? Have the best tires coming to green here again. We'll see what happens. Everybody's in the window now. I think these caution laps here will probably get the leaders there, and we're going to see.
Nearing 30 laps to go here tonight at Dover. First playoff race of the season. Green flag back in the air. Gunther got himself a good launch there on that outside line despite the older tires.
A little lighter with less fuel. He's going to try to hang in here around the outside.
Grant got really loose there off the corner. John Godfrey I saw back there loose off of turn 2. Went down to the apron. I don't know if he saved it or not. Oh, that apron for Jeremy Jeffries has been a menace.
Trouble on the back stretch again. Yep,
Caution's out.
Possibly John Godfrey. Somebody's around in the back right by turn 3.
Yep, that was the car I saw point down towards the inside wall off of 2. Thought maybe he'd save it and be out of trouble by the time they got here to turn 3, but obviously that was not the case.
You take your lumps and pay your tax now if you're Nick Gunther?
I think you probably have to, right? We're in 30 laps to go. Everybody else isn't coming to pit road outside of crash damage.
I don't think the rest of them are coming this time. But do you bank on another caution where they would come? It's a tough call. This is the call Nick made last time. He's got to make it again now. It depends on how he felt on that second restart on being such a tire deficit. And
well, he
looks like
can't make it on
staying
fuel,
out.
can he?
I don't see a way. I'd have to go back and look to that last restart, but he did not come down pit road.
Yeah, when everybody else made that last pit stop, he stayed out. So I don't see a scenario where he'd be able to save enough fuel to get to the end.
And guess who's on pit road? I'm going to give you one guess.
Could it possibly be Jeff Supta?
Winner. More tires, I'm guessing.
What was it I said? It was a couple of weeks ago when we were at Rockingham. There were a couple of drivers that made multiple pit stops during the course of that race, and I said if they don't know every single one of their pit crew members by their first, middle, and last name by the end of the night, then I don't know what to tell you. They've been in pit road for so many pit stops. I think Supta's in that category here tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to go back and count the sets of tires.
Let me see. I believe I can give you the stat of how many times he's been to pit road here in this race. Currently, Cy Jones would actually have the most pit stops, 10 trips to pit road. Dave Robbins, Jeff Supta would be tied for second, 9 trips to pit road each.
Going back now to try to look when Nick was on pit road, and if I'm right, lap 55. 055 on pit road, lap 55.
There's no way you can save that much here, even if we continue to trend with these cautions, is there?
No, that would be like almost 70 laps, 65 laps. The window's 33, so we got to look back here and see.
Looking
yeah,
right now,
we must have missed them off pit road because we're on lap 90.
Well, I know for certain he didn't pit when everybody else pit, so... Looking at the playoff contenders, though, that have been able to rack up a valuable bonus point for leading at least one lap, Right now, a half dozen drivers would have done that. Jeremy Jeffries, Nick Gunther, Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling, Josh Metallic, and Jeff Supta. Half of the playoff grid has yet to get that valuable bonus point for a lap led. The highest running that has not led a lap here of our playoff drivers would be Dave Melson. He's in the 10th position. You mentioned he's had a streak of top 5 finishes here, and we saw him kind of struggle in the early going. Now he's up here in the top 10 late. Keep an eye on that Wendy's Chevrolet.
And maybe I made the mistake twice, but I got lap 55 for the 055. He's damn near out of fuel. He's banking for the. He's trying to hang in, hoping he can draw these guys onto pit road with him. It's the only thing that's left, I would think.
Not sure he's gonna get it. You're now south of 30 to go. Green flag back in the air here for Jeremy Jeffries, Nick Gunther, the front row. We've not had the need here under these cautions for lucky dogs. We've got 22 drivers still running, all in the lead lap. Gunther really loose up there on the top side. Hangs on to it in front of Grant Wesley. Oh, loose again as he goes up into the outside wall.
They were looking to go 3 wide.
Is that kind of what you were alluding to before? Oh, we got big hit in the back. Yep, I think that was Bob Dixon.
143 definitely involved in turn 3 and 4 again.
Colin Flick down there on the apron. Glenn Harris, I believe, was involved in this as well. Dave Robbins on pit road there. Go back and see what happened. That looseness there out of Nick Gunther, I have to think that's a combination of cold tires, but you also talked about the fact that it's been so long since he was to pit road, the car lighter in the back end, not having a full fuel tank. That had to have played a bit of a part into his looseness there from turn 1 all the way to the back straightaway.
Pretty good accordion check up ahead of him, too.
Oh, Dixon there. Yeah, on the brakes, pushes up.
Yeah, on the wider view, there was a pretty good accordion checkup that came back to him that got him hard on the brakes.
Colin Flick, John Godfrey involved as well. See if it catches this incident here. Yeah, just see as he tries to avoid running into the back of Dante Ricky. Dave Robbins with a clip there on that Adam Petty throwback of Bobby Farrell. Gets a piece, slides into the 95 car.
And the world can breathe a sigh of relief. The 055 has fuel, but he only one taker with him, it looks like. Rodney Sullins.
Yeah. And now he leaves himself with less than 25 laps to work his way back up to the front, dependent on all the other drivers that pitted with him. Looks like he'd probably restart somewhere back, at least outside the top 10, maybe 14th, 15th position. I don't know if that's enough time to work your way forward, especially, as I said, if we continue to have these spurts of 1 or 2 laps green and then a caution coming out. Maybe you can gain a spot per caution, but you'd need 14 cautions, and I don't think you're definitely not going to get that in the span of 25 laps.
Let's hope not, but
yeah.
It's so tough. If you look at the historical data, like I said, I went back to it all. When you get into this cycle, the spin cycle, if you want to call it that, especially if it's near the end of the race, it is tough to get out of it. They're going to have to have to get a few laps in. It's just that these get the tires up.
Interesting that caution as well, because it involved 3 of the drivers that have been very much so in the conversation for this season's Challenger Championship. Colin Flick, Glenn Harris, and Bob Dixon were all involved. As a matter of fact, I believe Bobby Farrell was actually in that as well. So that's 4 of the Challenger drivers. Right now, because of that, they are all clumped together. I believe Bobby Farrell last time by is the highest scored of the Challenger drivers in the 14th position. So while this battle for the overall win is getting awfully interesting, it's getting juicy for that Challenger win as well. You've got pretty much 5-6 Challenger drivers all clumped up together from 14th on back to 19th.
Looks like the 143 is going to keep going, albeit minus the back end of his vehicle.
Dave Robbins will not reach the conclusion, however. Saw him on pit road there just after that wreck through 3 and 4. And he's retired from the race, joining Dennis McCarthy, Denny Carroll, and Brian Rawson.
What do you think when you see your Nega Ulysses on the outside of the front row? What do we see now?
Four-time winner and Jeremy Jeffries playoff contender, non-playoff driver Ulysses Sandoval, looking for his first win here in the Barebones Racing Series. Then another playoff driver, non-playoff driver row 2, same scenario in row 3 is green flag back in the air.
Couple guys got squirrely, but looks like we're going now. And oh boy, almost 3 wide going through. Nick Gunther thought about taking it 3 wide there, coming out of 2, and settles back in line.
That was Bobby Farrell and Ron Hagelin, I believe he was attempting to go 3 wide with. And this battle for the lead is not over. Ooh, there was near contact.
He was told, Ulysses was drifting there. It looked like he was definitely sliding.
Big save as he almost got the wall off of 4. He'll lose second to Wesley. Third now under fire. Jim Gloud still loose there as Sandoval on that top line. Oh, he's into the wall. Bounces off of Josh Metallic. And Sandoval's going to go around in front of the field going into 3. Bombard is collected. Godfrey spins around as well.
Gunther makes it through, but several involved.
Rodney Sullins also got a piece of that as he's facing the wrong way. Gets it turned back around.
We saw that coming. They're not going to want to wait for those 2 laps. They're going after it hard right off this green flag.
This one right up at the front of the field, inside the top 5 at the time. Ulysses spent the last mile and a half trying to gather up that race car, and right here you're going to see he overcorrects into the outside wall. Little contact in the passenger side door of Josh Metallic, and it's on from there. Godfrey got into the back of Terry Bombard. That's what sent him into the 096. Not sure how Sullins got spun around, but
all reacting from what happened up front.
Exactly.
And I tell you, we saw the 096 drive it in so hard, and thing he was sideways at one point there, and then I don't know if he ever got it settled back completely after that.
I don't think he did. Let's look at the 10 of Terry Bombard here. And again, as you said, it's all reactionary because you don't know where that 096 is going to come. Is he going to come back up the track? Is he staying down there on the aprons? So Terry's got to make a decision. Do I lift? Do I throttle up before I get to him there, hoping that that lane's still open? He chooses to get on the brakes, and then you got John Godfrey behind him. He doesn't know what Terry's going to do. The 2 make the contact, and then it's on from there. A couple other drivers as well in the stack-up.
Yep, looks like we're going to go to single file restarts from here on in.
Rodney got into the right rear of John Godfrey. That's how he spun around.
Often what we'll do when we have, consecutive cautions like we've been having tonight, and it's almost become a staple at Dover, is we will go to single file restarts, and that's what I'm hearing is going to happen here on in.
So single file restarts with less than 20 laps to go. And you think track position was important before. With single file restarts, it's even more so now.
I tell you, and it gets tough to get that green flag. We see a tail of 2 races, great long green flag pit stops, and that's all gone now, and it's tough to get out of it. This track, I can run you down the numbers. They go, like I said, the high point was 16. I don't think we're getting there, but the last bunch, 7, 5, 5, 10. So right in that 10 number, I think we're probably around now.
We're on 10 right now, yep. A couple of drivers that have had an adventurous evening here at Dover. Right now, with 20 to go, looking in fairly good shape. Jeff Supta, right now in the 9th position. Bob LaChance in 10th. We saw LaChance involved in an incident off of turn 4. Lost a ton of track position because of that. Supta ended up playing some alternative strategy. Cautions haven't exactly helped him work his way to the front. Then he ended up getting a black flag on one of the pit stops as well. But both of those have done a good job in working their way back up here, at least into the latter half of the top 10. This isn't over either. They could get some good restarts here and work their way up into the top 5. Again, 2 playoff drivers. And for every one of the playoff drivers here tonight, there's 2 goals. First goal, win. If you win, you're into the next round. But if you can't win the race, get as many points as you can. Have a cushion heading into that elimination race next week at Indianapolis.
I tell you, we track, most positions gained, at the end of the race in our recaps. Wish we could track most positions passed, because Jeff Supta would definitely lead that. And most calories burned by your pit crew members. Definitely going to win that one tonight. As we get ready, here we go, so.
Single file restart here with Jeremy Jeffries, Grant Wesley, the top 2. Then non-playoff drivers in Gloud and Rivard. Josh Metallic going to complete the top 5. Good launch for the top three. Rivard caught napping a little bit there. Gap from third back to fourth position.
Looks like everybody's going to get going there. Looks like Brian Schilling high on the outside, going to get boxed in.
Loud thought about second. Wesley slams that door. Schilling way up in that light gray.
Losing traction there. He's going to lose a few spots here.
Supta now looks to his inside. Nick Gunther right behind him as well, looking to capitalize. Freight Train, the driver that picked up 10 valuable bonus points for winning the halfway stage.
He's got the best tires now. He's got a little bit of an advantage, but the laps are winding down here with about 17 to go.
Looks like Colin Flicks managed to work his way back up as the leader of the Challenger drivers. Right now in the 12th position. Looking to build on that lead. Had 45 points over Glenn Harris coming into tonight, the defending winner of the Challenger Championship, as Jeremy's not been able to get away from Grant, but in turn, Cloud's been putting some pressure on that 88 for the second spot.
He sure is, and Josh Vitalik's all over the back up. I see trouble. Looks like the 096 is around again. 10 involved.
Oh! Big hit there for Bombard and Harris.
They're right on the threshold of racing back here. I think one shy.
So Jeremy leads him back here to the start-finish line. Looks like this upcoming restart will be with less than 15 laps to go, maybe closer to 10 laps remaining. Let's take a look and see what happened to bring out the 11th caution of the night. You mentioned
I think
Ulysses
that's going to end the night.
Yeah, to your point, he's done. Ooh. Hagelin gets the wall ahead of him. Contact in the left rear. And clips Terry Bombard. Terry's been a pinball tonight.
He sure has. That's just bang, bang, bang there.
Take a look at the perspective of the 10 car. Watches the 111 up the track, gets the wall. Ulysses goes down to avoid, gets into Terry, and then, oh, nowhere for Glenn Harris to be able to go there. Pretty significant damage on the right side of Terry Bombard, and one would assume some front-end damage on the Krispy Kreme Chevrolet. Got about 4 or 5 drivers on pit road, drivers that were towards the tail end of the field, just maybe getting some fresh tires there in case something happens. You alluded to that podium finish I have here, kind of similar to the strategy that they're doing. Ended up coming down pit road late in that race, took fresh tires on. There was a wreck off of turn 2, final restart, and I rode the wall all the way around, found a lane around the wall to be able to get the podium spot. I can guarantee you, I think if I remember correctly, I think Grant and I were battling for that final podium spot coming back to the line. I have never money shifted to second gear to get a launch so quickly in my life.
I think everybody's got a Dover nightmare story or joyful story in your case to tell. I know I remember we had a series called Blazing Thunder, and I remember we were running trucks at that time, coming off of turn 4, looking at the checkered flag on the outside line, and I crossed the finish line in the catch fence backwards.
Oh, wow.
Not in the lead. Not for the win either.
Oh, no.
So it just, things can happen really bad here and really fast, and there rarely are small incidents if they happen near the front.
That is true, and you kind of think about what's on the line here for these two drivers right now. Jeremy Jeffries, most wins in the regular season, 4 trips to victory lane, came in as the #1 seed because of that with 12 bonus points for those 4 victories. Grant Wesley won the regular season championship, was obviously up in the top, I would say, 3 if not 2 in stage points gained during the regular season. Had the 3 bonus points for that regular season championship, but still that glaring 0 in the win column. It's kind of a question here in the fact that next week's the elimination race. Here tonight, if you win, you're into the next round. What are these two drivers willing to do offensively and defensively here, coming close to 10 laps to go?
Well, I think they'll both find themselves probably in decent points position. So the question is, how hard do you want to go to lock yourselves in? Because both Jeremy and Grant are up near the top of the standings to begin with. But if you're a little further back, are you worth taking? Is it worth taking a swing? With this many laps to go, can Josh mount a charge and get up there? Track position is so tough; it'd be tough to say. But between Jeremy and Grant, these are two good buddies, two good, hard, clean racers. We're gonna see a show.
Going to be officially 12 laps to go as we get the green flag. Jeremy Jeffries back up through the gears. Top three again, open up the distance, and Jeremy again loose into one. Again, he saves it. The caution's going to come out, however. Oh, and now it's going to be a metallic. Oh, gosh.
Oh, it is. It is going to be rough.
Oh,
it is
man.
Huge wreck. And
metallic up and over. Jeffries is still on his side, propped up against the inside wall. I believe the caution came out for the one being halfway sideways. Oh, but then it just unraveled after that.
Can't believe it isn't given the go yet.
Yeah, me either. Looks like Schilling might be coming down here to maybe get Jeremy back on his wheels at least. Or try to. Yep, he's back on his wheels now.
There he goes, back on his wheels.
Whew.
It's crazy. I've never seen the tow truck not come out for that.
I've not either. Unless maybe it considered that the car wasn't completely over. I don't know. That was a weird one.
So tough to get going here.
Well, Jeremy dodged a couple of bullets in the early going of this race, as early as lap 1 getting loose on the entry to the corner. This time, it looked like he was going to have his third save of the night, which I guess he technically did. But then after he recovered it off of turn 2, he's going to have that follow-up contact with Josh Metallic, and that's where it all goes wrong.
Yeah, I did. There's a change in the frame there. We'll have to go back and see if we get a different angle. If Josh was actually moving himself, coming down towards Jeremy as Jeremy was saving it.
Take a look here and see. I think maybe our best shot is probably the aerial view. Oh, I think, yeah. So when
Josh,
he moves up to avoid, he gets loose.
The first time, yep, exactly. That's exactly what happened. The tail got light as he was serving up to avoid Jeremy on the apron to begin with.
Metallic was running in 5th. Jeremy was obviously the race leader. This is going on board with the 39. And watch, you can see even from his point of view, he can see the one car sideways in the race lead. Oh, right there, you hear him feathering it, just trying to not get loose, and up and over it goes.
It was the right angle to look at that from too, because just as he's going up that hill, exiting and going up that banking, just the tail is just so light there, and he's correcting it, taking it someplace. That's what gets you going here. It's not because you can't drive straight and attack the track. You can. It's when you have to make the last second adjustments to something else that's not happening, where the car gets upset.
The position of that car there, and I was questioning why it wasn't being towed to pit road. The word on the hood right there, how? That's what Jeremy was asking of.
Exactly, how
did this happen? I was leading this race. I was out in front for 32 laps here tonight, and just like that, he's on pit road. But I believe he's a lap down.
He said he was cursed, by this track.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
He's the pole sitter now 3 of the last 4 races here. And again, it's tough. I mean, we've all been there. Trust me. I know we all feel it. And looks like Grant is now going to be in that position with Jim Glaude and running and now sitting there solidly in 2nd place with only a few laps going to be remaining.
You kind of think about what might have been for Frank Rivard. He was one of the drivers we had in the conversation of maybe pointing his way into a playoff spot last weekend. Infineon came up just short. He's currently on the podium in 3rd place. Nick Gunther, he's been able to work his way back forward here after that late pit stop to 4th. And Dave Melson, top 5 streak here at Dover, may continue. He's 5th on this restart.
Green flag's out. Here we go. Already I see it looked like Jeff Suta might have spun the tires a little bit.
Stacked him up Dante Ricci was behind him there. That was 8th place on back. Top 2 got away. 35's not been able to really get some good restarts here. It seems like every restart he loses touch with the driver in front of him, which I believe on the last 3 occasions has been that 72.
Right here is where we usually find some trouble. Let's see if we can get all through round 3 and 4 here.
Looks like
everybody's around.
Brian Schilling trying to make a move there on Dave Melson. You got a number of playoff drivers right here. Colin Flick right now in the 5th position. Oh, Frank Rivard going to go around.
Caution is out. Looks like he's going to be single car.
Should get a restart here, but it will be less than 5 laps to go. That was a battle, I think, for the 3rd position. Caution comes out. And Grant Wesley now either gets more nervous as these laps pass away or can take this opportunity to maybe catch his breath here in preparation for what will more than likely be the final restart of the evening.
Anytime you got to try to get traction in here again, you don't want to do it.
Let's take a look at what happened on the back straightaway here. This was for 3rd place. Nick Gunther trying to get by Frank Rivard, and he gets him in the left rear quarter panel.
Yeah, I saw Nick on the apron just on the last lap there going slow. I had a feeling there was something there.
Take a look from the aerial view here as well. Oh, yeah, looks like actually Frank might have gotten the apron there as well. Might have stifled his momentum too. Gunther trying to get by, Frank trying to defend. Both make contact there. Frank Rivard pays the price for it.
Yeah, I'm going to go there. It was a tough one.
So now we'll wait and see how many laps we're going to have left here. I believe, yeah, Jeremy did lose a lap under that last caution when he ended up spinning with Josh Metallic. He gets the free pass, so he'll be back on the lead lap here in the 19th position. Metallic, we didn't document this, but he's out of the race. Looks like he's going to be credited for 20th place here tonight. He will have the bonus point for a lap led, but he did come into this race as well in a 4-way tie for 3rd. Don't know exactly where he's going to be positioned for that cut line. I mean, right now, kind of looking, there's a handful of drivers that we could be talking into next week. Not necessarily in must-win situation, but they're definitely going to need a good run to counter the misfortunes of Dover here tonight. Denny Carroll obviously being one of those drivers. Metallic, depending on where Jeremy finishes here at the close of this one, he could maybe fall into that conversation. Granted, he's got those 12 bonus points. Ron Hagelin's had some problems here tonight, so things could be very interesting around that 8 in the standings cut line at the elimination race next week.
It'll be challenging in Indianapolis for sure. I know there'll be a lot of talk after this one.
Lights out. We'll have 3 laps to go. Grant Wesley documented he's still looking for that first win on the season. He'll be looking for the restart here tonight to solidify him into the next round, the round of 8. Jim Glaude right behind him. A driver that we thought we might have seen in victory lane back at the Tricky Triangle at Pocono had a great showing there. He's got an opportunity maybe to deny any of the playoff drivers that golden ticket in the next round as he'll restart 2nd. Colin Flick, nice recovery for him here tonight. Right now lined up on the podium in 3rd. Looking to pick up another win in the Challenger Series as well. Dave Melson mentioned his top 5 streak may continue here tonight as he'll restart in 4th, playoff driver. And Brian Schilling up there now in the 5th position. Think of it as, though, 3 to go. Is there a cut line area here of positioning that takes you out of the conversation for the race win?
I just want to see the checkered flag. I don't care where the hell I am. It's been a brutal one. Pace car is off, and we're about to find out where that line is. As Grant's going to put the hammer down and hope that she's going to stick. You know, we're cooled off tires again. This is really challenging here right now. And they're already spinning in the back.
There's a massive stack up at the back. This is going to end the race. Caution is out.
Yeah, it should end the race. Put a fork in it. But
It,
they're racing back, so
yeah,
this is a race
exactly.
going on here. So Jim Glaude's got a chance to pick up a win here from Grant.
Hopefully they get that sorted out before the leaders come around to the front straightaway again here, as there were a couple of cars that were flipping. Jim, ooh, he's trying. He's got the nose pointed down to get the run off the corner, but he's not going to be able to get there. Grant's going to hold him off. He'll pick up the caution. There'll be 2 laps to go.
Going to get another podium.
Yes, indeed.
Ryan Schilling's going to cover it. You know, and buried in all you want to call the crap of all these cautions, you know, has been some great races run and some heads-up driving by some guys. We saw some great saves. You know, we did this broadcast to try to highlight the good things, and we've seen a damn caution fest, unfortunately. But we've seen great driving. I don't want that to distract me. Like, look, Jim Glaude finished in second, ran another masterful race. Colin Flick's going to bring it home in third. Grant Wesley, we know he's going to take home the lead, and then Brian Schilling, who dominated, you know, and was up there, you know, leading the most laps early, and then got mired in track position battling, got pinched off, I think, with the 096 there, which most certainly gave him damage, is going to salvage a 4th place finish, and you know, so for every tragedy, there's a little bit of a triumph.
I consider this too. I mean, see the white flag here for Grant Wesley. I mentioned it when we started off tonight. Dover is a challenging track. You embellished that by talking about, you know, the history of the drivers here, how difficult this racetrack is. You know, obviously, the cautions coming out here, it's typical of this racetrack. This racetrack is not called the Monster Mile for nothing. It's not called go fast, turn left, it's easy. It's a challenging racetrack, and these drivers here tonight, to your point, we've seen some great racing. We saw that long green flag run. It's just the pitfalls of Dover. It's a concrete surface. Cold tires are not going to find grift on a concrete surface. Drivers obviously are going to have to deal with the tire heat built up in the right front tire as they're racing side by side with each other. It's all the pitfalls, the typical pitfalls. Doesn't matter what type of a series you're in, what type of cars you're driving, it's typical Dover.
Absolutely, you know, and when the racing, everybody loves the racing, as you said yourself. It's a great, so it keeps us coming back, you know, and you deal with the treachery, the literal treachery that is restarts here, and we talk about it. We even talked about it in the drivers' meeting. The history shows, if we get a caution, we get a cluster of cautions, and it creates a cycle that's very difficult to get out, you know. But you see it, like, I can run down the history real quick of number of incidents per race all the way through: 10, 8, 6, 4, 8, 4, 10, 0, September 2019, followed by 16. So the records are right next to each other. Then 7, 5, 5, and most recently 10. And then we have tonight.
At 14 the total here tonight, but checkered flag is in the air, and Grant Wesley not only picks up the first win of the playoffs, it's his first win on the season, and Grant goes into Indianapolis next week worry-free. He will be locked in to the next round of the playoffs, the round of 8. We'll see driver 88.
Yep, and we've got the most treacherous track on the schedule of many treacherous tracks out of the way. There are no breaks. There are no gimmies here. There are challenges presented in Indianapolis. There's a couple of, you know, big choke points and risk and reward points, as we'll get into next week. Fun track in Indianapolis, and then I think we've got Iowa coming up shortly after that.
I mentioned this last Thursday night. We watch what happens in practice. I know Grant knows where victory lane is because he was trying to find it in practice earlier, so I know he knows how to get there.
He's on his way.
Oh, he has to stop at the porta potty. Hold on. Wow, that was a quick pit stop. Maybe it was occupied.
He has found his destination.
Gonna pull into victory lane here at Dover. His first win on the season. We'll show you your finishing results here in a moment. But we took the opportunity there under the caution period to watch Grant come around and pick up the checkered flag. We're going to take a look and see what happened to bring out this race-ending yellow. I mentioned about the fact there were a couple of drivers I saw up and over. I think Glenn Harris might have been one of them. I think the stack-up actually begins around the 8 car here as they were getting the green flag for what eventually ended up being the final restart of the night.
Right, you are. As you can see, Glenn's already had his trouble. He's got a few cars, 2 in a row there, missing the back ends.
I couldn't even tell where that stack-up began. It was 4, 5, 6 cars in front.
Yep, and just created chaos.
And everybody
That's
knows it's the last
typical.
restart too, right? So nobody's going to lift. Everybody's shoving each other's gearboxes trying to get going, even if the car up ahead of them may be having some trouble.
Like I said, everybody's got a story. I bet you everybody who knows this track and knows Dover, how many times has there been a final lap restart, it's in the last, green, white, checkered or so, and everybody's gotten the power down? Probably never. We probably go back and look.
Yeah, that accordion could have started around the 84, the 51. I mean, they were all just trying to anticipate when that green flag was going to fly. Maybe somebody anticipated a half second too soon, and it just accordions on back. But few drivers did not reach the conclusion as a result of that stack up there to end this race under yellow. Here's a look now at the full finishing results. So Grant Wesley brings it home with the victory. Jim Gloud, great run for him in second. And Colin Flick picks up another challenger victory and some valuable points as well for him as a playoff contender as he will complete the podium. We'll be talking with those three drivers in just a few moments. Some other playoff drivers with some good points nights. Schilling comes back for fourth. Dave Melson, that top five streak continues as he'll get fifth. And Jeff Supta is going to bring it home in the sixth position. Dante Ricky, good run in seventh. Another playoff driver in Bob LaChance, going to get eighth. Rodney Sullins was ninth, and Bobby Farrell nets himself a top 10 finish here tonight. Bob Dixon in 11th. Ron Hagelin, playoff driver, in 12th. Jeremy Jeffries, Nick Gunther right there behind him as well, 13th and 14th. Those were a couple of drivers, Jeffries and Gunther, that were up front late and finished outside the top 10. Cy Jones in 15th, Glenn Harris in 16th, and Terry Bombard was the last driver to get to the checkered flag in 17th. The rest of these drivers did not get to the conclusion. Two of them playoff contenders, who will have to see what their situation is going into the elimination race next week in Indianapolis. John Godfrey, Frank Rivard, Metallic, one of those playoff drivers, in 20th. Sandoval, 21st. Dave Robbins, 22nd. Dennis McCarthy, 23rd. Denny Carroll, nothing that he could control. Mechanical failure puts him 24th tonight. Playoff driver that may go into next week as a must-win situation. Brian Rawson was the first driver out of the race and will finish in 25th position here tonight at the Monster Mile.
Yep, probably some good disgust, I imagine, to those guys in the lower parts of the standings there. With had the hard luck. Tough to put a lot of lipstick on this. We saw, like I said, for every one of these tragedies, we've seen some great heads-up racing, some great race strategy played, a world record set number of tires probably taken, and pit stops made, and things like that. And hopefully everybody moves on and we get to Indianapolis.
Well, let's see if we can dial up our podium finishers. We've been trying to normally lately get a hold of the Challenger winner post-race, but we're going to be able to do that here because he ends up finishing third place as well. Let's dial up the Challenger points leader, Colin Flick.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Colin, it's Sean and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Gotcha.
Wild one here tonight at Dover. Your evening started out good. You're up there inside of the top 10. Kind of faded back, got involved in a couple of incidents, played some pit strategy, back up at the front. A couple more incidents involved in, fell to the back, and worked your way back up late here to the third position. Up and down night, but you ended on the up note. Also, some important points for you as well heading into that elimination race. So, how in the world did you get the strategy to work out in your favor, come out on the right side of it?
I really don't know. I just was able to get by. When they crashed with about 35 to go, or actually before that, like about 40 to go, I pit for two tires because I was like, if it goes green, I can get some track position, maybe stay up here, just ride around, get to the final pit stop, and maybe see where we go from there. Then we had another caution right after that, and it was about 35 to go. I was like, you know what? Let's try and do a fuel strategy here. So I pulled down, give up my track position. More cautions. That fell through. And then all of a sudden, I think I had better tires than the majority of people in front of me. But still, all of a sudden, chaos just erupted in front of me. Like almost every restart. So I was just picking off people just because they were wrecked. I had to go around them and just keep pace. So was able to gain that, and then there was one where it was with 14 to go or something like that. We could race back to the yellow, and it was just chaos up front, and I just dove to the outside and just skirted on by up to about sixth place, and I just stayed there the rest of the race. It was just freaking chaotic. I probably shouldn't have been up front, but I'll take it.
Well, don't sell yourself short there, Colin. You certainly put in a great effort, and yeah, that one incident where I think there was the three wide situation. You might have been on the bottom part of it, and mayhem erupted. I mean, I honestly I've lost track of how many times, but for every one of these tragedy stories, there's a triumph story, and whether you got them by weaving your way through the carnage, or passing them on the track, their position's just the same. You get the challenger win, you get a big chunk of points to move on, and congratulations.
And I was very glad about that. I was worried because I wasn't going to get any stage points, so I kind of was a little bummed. But then I ended up finishing way better than I thought I would, so it's kind of a relief.
Well, as Sean alluded to, this podium finish going to put you in a pretty good stead to that 8th in the standings cut line heading to next week's race, that cutoff race at Indianapolis, and we wish you luck on that. Congratulations not only on your podium finish here tonight, but another challenger victory for you. You're going to open up the gap between yourself and second in the standings on the challenger side as well with a solid outing here tonight at Dover. Before we let you go, Colin, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Thank you guys for putting this league on every night, and thank you for Seth coming on here announcing for us, and same with Sean giving up a season to announce for us. You guys have been doing a great job. Thank you guys.
That's
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's Colin Flick, brings home third place here tonight, and he's going to look to use that as a stepping stone next week at Indianapolis to lock himself into the round of 8 here in the Barebones Racing Series playoffs for season 65. Congrats on the great run tonight. Best of luck next week at the Yard of Bricks.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your
One
channel.
of 2 playoff drivers that finish on the podium. The Meat Net Sandwich non-playoff driver Jim Gloud. Let's dial him up.
User was moved to your
Hey
channel.
Jim, it's Sean and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey fellas, yeah I do.
I'll tell you what, we talked about the fact here tonight, a lot of emphasis on the playoff contenders, a win and they're into the next round, but we weren't going to sell the non-playoff drivers short. They want to win just as much, and you had a pretty stout 72 car all night long. Really good on those late restarts, able to keep in touch with what was then the top 2, eventually then just the top 1 with Grant Wesley. Did you need all those laps to run green and maybe have something for him? Just couldn't do anything with just that one lap of green there?
Yeah, I needed at least 3 or 4 laps there because Grant was going to make it hard on me. I knew that for sure, and we just didn't get it. But I was just praying that he'd get a little loose or touch the apron and wash up, but he's too good for that. I mean, it happened to Jeremy. I was lucky to capitalize on that, but I just wish we could have got a little bit more green flag racing.
That's for sure, Jim. But yeah, congratulations. We didn't call your number a lot tonight. You were just steadily running a smart race. You avoided the chaos at most causes, and you just advanced, and had a heck of a shot there to just take it at the end. I mean, it could have just happened. It was just a blink of away. So just a solid run. Really happy there for you, Jim. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Normally I burn my stuff up here, so I normally like to start in the back and just take my time, but today I decided to qualify up there and then just kind of take my time, save my car to the end, and it seemed to pay off. I was able to get a few extra laps of fuel and get some positions there, and then all the cautions, I just tried to get one at a time and then settle in, and it worked out. I just needed one more.
Well, it sounds like you utilized one of our keys earlier on tonight to winning this race, if not being in the conversation for it. Patience, able to execute that here tonight. Top 5 pretty much the entire evening. He also netted our fastest lap of the race as well. So a lot of speed in this machine. Second place here tonight at Dover. Congratulations on the great run, Jim. Before we let you go, we'll give it the opportunity here for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thanks a lot there. Yeah, I'd like to thank the Lorco guys there. They did put together a fast forward for me. Definitely want to thank you, Seth, and Sean. You're doing an awesome job, you guys. Sean, great addition. Missing you on the track, though. And I'd like to thank everybody at RTG for all they do. It's us guys that come and get some stress off and come here and and be able to do this. What a blast! So again, thanks again for everything.
Jim Glaude, second place here tonight at Dover. Great run for the non-playoff contender as he brings it home on the podium. Congratulations on the great run here, Jim. Best of luck here down the remainder of these playoffs. Maybe we see you get that one position better, and we're talking to you in victory lane before the close of season 65.
Right on. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Appreciate that, Jim.
Jim
User was
Glaude,
moved out of your
second
channel.
place to the man that's down in victory lane. First win on the season, the regular season champion, Grant Wesley. Let's dial him up.
User was
And we
moved to
can
your
break
channel.
some news as we're bringing him in.
Alrighty.
The unofficial official standings are up.
Oh, okay, so we will definitely check in on those. Grant, Sean, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so I could ask you about strategy. I could ask you about, this racetrack, that final restart, but we got to ask the question that everybody watching wants to know. That was an awfully quick stop there in front of the porta potty. Was it occupied?
It was occupied.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. So now we got the important question out of the way. Let's talk about the race. You came into this race, obviously, with the regular season championship. You had those bonus points to lean onto. You were able to garner some stage points as well, but you're running up there in the top 3 late in this race. You've got Jeremy in front of you. The both of you want this victory. Obviously, the situation with Jeremy, it falls into your lap, but how much motivation was there for you coming into this one? Because I know that having 0 wins so far this season and an automatic ticket into the round of 8, that's got to be like the carrot dangling there, right? And what I asked Sean this: what was going to be the situation there between you and Jeremy? If Jeremy was in front of you in the closing stages, what were you going to be willing to do to make sure that you were going to have that automatic lock into the round of 8?
Actually, yeah, it's kind of funny. Right around that time, I'm on Whisper with Jeremy, and he told me, he's like, "Man, I didn't like to drive that hard. I'm trying to save some tires in case we get a long run." And I just gave him full disclosure. I was like, "I want track position now." So I was going to race him hard, But yeah, man, my car tonight, I qualified about a tenth and a half off the pace, in 10th, and my fastest lap was a tenth and a half off of Jim Glaude's, and I didn't have the best car. I knew this was going to be a tough track. The race started out great. The first half of the race, I shouldn't say I was surprised because I know we're more than capable of doing it, but it was a great green flag run. And yeah, there at the end of the race, cautions breed cautions, and I kind of knew that was going to happen. So, I've been bit too many times by pitting and taking fresh tires and getting caught up in a wreck. I knew this was a tough track. The last time I pitted was with 38 to go. Under green flag circumstances, the most you can get is 33 laps out of a tank or out of a full tank. And yeah, I stretched it 38 laps to get that win. So yeah, strategy was definitely to just stay out front.
Yeah, we talked about that. You could almost run it like a road course, when you see the cautions coming out, and we said, when I'm not coming into pit road until it's plausible that I could make it to the end, and you did that exactly right. It paid off for you. You were steady all night. You just, like I said, it was solid hang in, and you described the racing perfectly. It was a like tale of two races, almost what we almost always come to know at Dover. You just so hard to get restarted, and again, when it really matters at late in the race, those restarts just get amped up just even more. But I teased you coming in with, there's breaking news here, so I can confirm you indeed are holding P1 in the standings. You have a 5-point lead over Brian Schilling and a 7-point lead over Jeremy.
Oh, nice. And yeah, so for the halfway points, I should probably fully disclose that I know a few guys had issues on pit road. I was mired back in fifth or sixth, somewhere around there. We had that caution with like a lap to go until the halfway break after we went green. And there's a couple of guys, I think Supta, he got held on pit road for an unknown reason. And then I think Josh was stuck behind him. And then I beat Jeremy off of pit road. So I was able to leapfrog from like fifth or sixth up to, third. And then I was able to get under Gunther and pick up second. So yeah, I was thrilled to get those halfway points. It certainly helped towards the big picture.
Absolutely. I mean, as Sean alluded to, a lot of this stuff carries over into the next round of the playoffs. So, You got to get the points while they're there. You've locked yourself into the round of 8 with this victory here tonight. I think we could hear a giant sigh of relief as you cross the start-finish line there and put a crooked number in the win column. An incredible season for you here on consistency, and you finally kick off the playoffs with that exclamation point and put yourself certainly in the conversation to pick up another championship here on Monday nights. We'll let you get back to your celebrating there in Victory Lane. I knew you'd know how to get there because I saw you playing out your GPS in practice, so I knew you'd be able to find Victory Lane there afterwards. But Grant, before we let you go and continue your celebration here with your first victory of the season, floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, the developers here with NR 2003 have certainly done pretty good work on these tracks, and I always love to go venture on the infield and see what's there, and it's pretty cool. Sometimes you find a victory lane. So, but I want to give a shout out there to Jim Gloud, man. I got tons of respect for that guy. I've been racing him for years here, and I definitely kind of threw a couple blocks there late. I knew he had better tires, he had a better car, he was faster, he was patient with me. I just want to tell him thank you for that and good race. I'd like to thank the owners here, David Cannon, Sean Prime, the admin, Sean Prime, Jeremy Jeffries, FRN. Thank you, Seth and Sean, for taking time out for us. My teammates with XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend, Brittany.
Well, Grant Wesley, he will be one of 7 representatives in the next round of the playoffs. He goes into Indianapolis worry-free, might be able to add a second victory here to his resume in season 65 as he looks ahead towards Iowa in a couple of weeks and the next round of this postseason. Congratulations on the victory here tonight, Grant. Best of luck next week and as you eye that round of 8 here in the playoffs.
Yep, Indianapolis is a home track for me, so looking forward to a good one. All right, thanks, guys.
Congrats again, sir.
That's Grant Wesley picks
User
up
was moved
the
out of your
victory
channel.
here tonight. He'll become the 6th different winner on the season, and as you alluded to there as well, Sean jumps to the top of the overall point standings in terms of the playoffs. But man, I tell you what, as I scroll down there, that 8th in the standings cut line, man, oh man, oh man, there's like a half dozen, maybe more drivers that none of them are safe of staying in, and there's a number of drivers that still have some hopes that are below the cut line of getting in next week.
I tell you, and we can look ahead even next week, beyond next week, and it'll baffle me. I get frustration. Josh Metallic retired out of this race. I don't know how bad his damage was there, but going to a stretch where I had his name circled, Indianapolis, his home track, Iowa, a track he always spoke highly of and liked, and Watkins Glen, where he is also no slouch. Bringing us up, so that almost favored him, and so going in there. So be curious to see if he can survive next week at his home track and get himself into the 8th position.
Yeah, some interesting names there just above, just below the cut line. Bob LaChance, we'll be talking a lot about him next week. He's basically the measuring stick as he'll be 8th in overall standings going into that elimination race. You've got Nick Gunther, 7 points to the good. Supta, only 4 points to the good. 3 to the good for Colin Flick, who brought it home 3rd place here tonight. Dave Melson only +2. And then to your point, Ron Hagel in there -6, Josh Metallic -10, and Denny Carroll -18. We didn't have Ron Lucet in the field here tonight, so he will be -21 behind the cut line. Potentially, I would say, would fall into the must-win situation category based off of the median number average starters we've had here this season. But we talk about the pitfalls here of Dover. Indianapolis is no easy street. It's got a lot of areas where it can get you to, maybe most specifically Pit Road.
No, I mean, we have a series here we call the Challenger Series, but this is a challenging series, and there's no breaks. And this week, Indianapolis has got distinctive pinch points, getting into these little short shoots. But how you get out of those short shoots is everything, because that's your speed carrying down the straightaway. It's a great racy track. It's again a track where something happens in one of those short shoots, say going into 1 or 3. It's like the Blues Brothers, where the police cars pile up. They can just go all flying in there. So could be exciting.
Oh, it certainly will be. We look forward to seeing what's going to happen next week at the historic 2.5-mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 7 more drivers will join Grant Wesley in moving on in the playoffs as Grant picks up the victory here tonight at Dover. Hope you guys will join us for that elimination race next week, next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on FRN. Congratulations to Grant Wesley on his victory here tonight once more at the Monster Mile. And thank you all for tuning into our coverage. For Sean Prime, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next Monday night as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed